While we're on the sort of people theme, in a slightly broader sense, we know the defence budget's got major financial problems. The shape and size of the services are going to be changing. The manpower is not going to increase, that's for sure, and it may well decrease. And one of the areas where decreases can be absorbed is by contractorising a lot of areas such as support and training, and there's certainly been a lot of that in over the last few years. Yes, looking on the sort of the broader side of the personnel, it's clear that with the financial pressures at the moment, the armed services aren't likely to increase in numbers, and indeed they're likely to decrease. And one of the areas where this can be absorbed is by contractorising various functions, such as, and certainly it's been going on for the last few years, contractorising a lot of the support, maintenance, those type of works, and being done by industry, which in some ways may be more efficient and less costly. To what extent do you see that continuing, and also perhaps in the training area? How do you see the sort of the effect of contractualisation going on? Have we gone as far as we can go, or do you think we can go further, Peter?
I think there'll always be areas where we can do a little bit more, but I think in terms of something as big as the black hole in the budget as it is at the moment, we're talking in small slices of salami here, very small slices. The other thing that we need just to keep in the back of our minds is, self-evidently really, the companies that get involved in this are not doing it as a charity. They've got to turn a profit. So is it over the long term going to be value for money, or is it just an excuse not to invest in long term? There are some very good private finance initiatives, but is it really the answer? The other thing that we need to keep in mind is that where you're doing it in specialist areas, quite a lot of those specialists can only come from one source, ex-military.
Yes.
And if you kill the golden goose, so we just need to be a little bit careful with it.
Yes, it's very easy in the short term, isn't it? People will come out of uniform, the same people doing the same jobs for a civilian company, but 10 years on, that source isn't coming.
It's very easy when it's a short-term spreadsheet solution. Yeah. In the year 1, year 2, year 3, then I'll have moved on, or be somebody else, or whatever else the reasons behind it. We need to be just a little careful of it.
But having done it, you can't really undo it and go back again, can you?
Very difficult.
Yeah. It is very difficult. And I didn't have any difficulty in principle with this at all, and indeed fire services relied on civilian support since the day of PEEPs in ship support, and for quite a long time now the bulk of naval training has been conducted by a contractor.
So I have the press gangs back, are we?
But it has been conducted by a contractor who uses both his own personnel and naval personnel inside naval establishments which are navally commanded. And the arrangement has worked quite well. But Peter's absolutely right. I mean, the main source for the kind of skills to do this are the services themselves. And if they're being sucked out, and new people are not being trained to do these tasks, there is a risk of killing the goose that lays the golden egg, not just in the UK, but also abroad, where UK training has frequently sold well with the sort of UK cachet. And if we...
but it looks awful if we're not training our own people in it.
Exactly so. So there is quite a major problem there. On the side of PFI, I mean, I have quite a lot of reservations about this. I mean, in general, PFI has been used, although the philosophy is actually different, has been used where we couldn't afford the capital expenditure. In principle, that's not supposed to be true. You're supposed to demonstrate a public service comparator and show that PFI is cheaper. But if you can't afford it, you don't really have a public service comparator. So what we've done is go down PFI deals which hypothecate the spending of money for a very long time ahead. The tanker contract, which we've discussed, it was a 27-year contract initially. In other words, you've got to go on giving this money to people for 27 years, or negotiate yourselves out of it with no doubt great difficulty and expense when you find that you don't need it any longer or not at the same level. So I think PFI carries some quite considerable dangers inside, and it is not by itself a guarantee that a company won't fail.
Do you think that MOD's smart enough on the commercial and the contractual side of it, or does industry, particularly in PFIs, or for that matter in things like, contractually bound to the Typhoon or whatever else, are we smart enough yet?
I would say most certainly not. And we don't have people with commercial understanding. And if you've worked, as I have in the commercial sector, and seen people come out of the service, no doubt I was the same myself, you can see that they just simply haven't got any understanding of commercial finance, the way business operates, what the drivers are within business, and they don't have enough knowledge even to negotiate about it. So I think the answer is we're very, very unsmart commercially.
And yet, one of the casualties of something like SDSR could well be cutbacks in training and education. Whereas as we get leaner and leaner, smaller and smaller, we should be smarter.
Yes, but this isn't just a matter of training education, it's a matter of experience
as well. Yeah. I'm not convinced that any of the services are particularly good at putting people out either into industry or across other, it's seen as a career foul or a career stopper. I think it's an attitude of mind that really needs to change.
Nor, by the way, vice versa. We're not very good at absorbing industry on secondments either, which would be a useful thing to do.
Yeah.
Yes, and you also then you get into condo, contractors on deployed operations, and to what extent, if we are talking about increases in support being done by industry, then where can you send them and under what terms? And there are a lot of issues there that come in, and it's contractually and legally and morally quite difficult.